I'm here with my friend James Roloff from Roloff Consulting. James, you and I were just talking about how sales has changed. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the big thing that a lot of people know intrinsically, and COVID definitely accelerated this, is that people have changed the way they buy. And it used to be that people wanted to talk to different vendors, wanted to have some meetings to discuss different things that are possible, and they relied on vendors a lot to provide them information as part of that purchasing journey. Where nowadays people are really seeking information themselves. People are kind of doing their own research when it comes to making purchases. So there's a lot more activity higher up in that funnel of people doing their own research, looking up information. And by the time they end up talking to a sales rep or wanting to talk to a sales rep, a lot of time they've already made a decision on what they want to do, or they've narrowed down that potential list of products or services pretty drastically. So that's kind of more that buying behavior side of things. But from a selling side of it, that means we need to adapt too. And the sellers that simply wait for the leads, to come in and then think they can just work their sales magic and close them, that's not really the case anymore. You have to do a lot more activity higher up the funnel, provide value higher up in that buyer's journey. And there's a lot of good data on the sellers that are able to provide that value earlier on in the process and be seen higher up in that research phase are much more likely to actually win deals too. So um, the moral of the story here is really that sales has changed in a lot of ways that you have to be higher up in that funnel and you have to be more of an educator, not just a salesperson.
Yeah, and I know you consult with businesses and sales teams. My team and I, are often the marketing department for a company, and we're working with sales teams. Maybe you could talk a bit about what does that mean? If oftentimes, our clients or their counterparts or the people they have in sales, they're thinking a sale is someone comes to me, I have a meeting, I sell them today or not, or maybe we have another meeting and I sell them if it's B2B or something like that. But they're sort of thinking this is sales. Yes or no, do you want to buy? It sounds like you're saying there's activities and things you do that come way before that meeting and way before that decision. Can you talk about what those are?
Yeah, yes, that's a good question. So I think that there's a big blurry line between sales and marketing, especially when it comes to digital things. But really, marketing is focused on building the brand, building brand awareness, generating demand for the business. But sales reps need to step into that arena more so from a prospecting standpoint and position themselves as a salesperson as a trusted authority. So that if people in your industry are looking to buy something or buy something that you sell, they already see you as that person that's knowledgeable about what you sell and knowledgeable at the industry because of all of the educational content that you've personally put out, not just resharing your company's content, but stuff that you've been doing. So you generate a lot more leads that way by putting yourself out there, as well as the fact you get to expand your network. You simply just reach more people by putting out educational content, which from a sales perspective means you're casting a much wider net that you can fish from. So putting out educational content, expanding your network, and building that authority, all of that top of funnel are all those activities that salespeople can do, and leverage things that their marketing department's doing. Like leverage or leverage those assets that your marketing team is putting out, so that you have some ways to convert people into leads, as well as just simply the power behind a brand to reach more people too. But you personally, as a sales rep, you need to be out there putting out content, connecting with people, and building that authority as a trusted figure.
And I've heard you use the phrase social selling. And even when you describe that, I'm thinking if I'm a commission salesperson and this James guy is telling me, what, I got to do marketing's job now too? How does someone think about that? If, hey, I want to make money today, or like I'm incentivized based on the sales I'm making, how do I think about maybe these, non paid activities of creating a video for LinkedIn or social media?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think can I take a step back? Social selling to me is not just going on social media and blasting cold DMs out to people and hoping they reply. It's more so using social channels, oftentimes LinkedIn, as a way to do your sales activity. So prospecting, nurturing deals, closing deals, all those things that you do normally through other channels. And you use social media in addition to those channels to be more successful. And I think, specifically what you're saying is why isn't marketing doing this, and kind of taking it that way. Um, if you view your job in sales as simply, hosting meetings, bringing cookies, and drinking coffee and closing deals, you're not going to be successful in this new age of sales. You need to be an educator, you need to be a consultant, you need to be that person in your industry that people trust and want to work with. So you're not doing marketing activity. What you're doing is you're helping people higher up in the funnel. One of the things I always talk about with my clients too, had a call earlier today about this too, is that the perfect kind of content that you can do and post as a salesperson is more of like an FAQ style post or FAQ style content. So you're in that sales role every single day. You're talking to prospects and existing customers, and they're asking you questions about your industry and asking you questions about your product, and trying to find a solution to a problem they have. So you're getting all this great content as far as the things that people want to know about. And if you could take that, package it up, record a video on it, make a text post about it, and then post that to social media, that's a great way to basically answer and build trust at scale, which obviously will hopefully convert in some leads, but it'll also help nurture existing leads in your pipeline too. So I see that as something totally separate than marketing, which is a company trying to expand their brand. It's two separate things to me. They obviously work in conjunction, but you're not doing marketing, you're doing sales in the digital world.
Love that. What comes to mind for me with that, James, is sales. We almost think that's a one-to-one conversation, and marketing, but the difference is it's one-to-many. Of I'm creating a video once, I'm putting it out there, lots of people can see it. I'm doing a newsletter, I'm writing a blog post, whatever that content is. It's like that's kind of the difference, is one-to-one versus one-to-many. Early on in my business for Get Found Madison, my local agency, I had a client ask me, I said, hey, make sure you're getting Google reviews for your SEO. And he said, hey, is there a template you have that I could just send people? I was like, oh yeah, let me write one up. And I sent it to him and I said, there's a lot of other local businesses that could benefit from that. I'll make a blog post out of it.
Yep.
And years later, that was our number one blog post. We were ranking number one in the US for, Google review templates, Google review question, things like that. And so it's like, don't waste a good conversation by having it in private.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that again, I say the best salespeople are educators, they're teachers, because they know what's valuable to their audience. They're trying to help their students, in this case their prospects, be more successful and kind of take that mental leap so that they can transform to that ideal version of themselves. So like the example you gave about, taking something you did for one client and then giving it out for free through a blog post. But like you said, that's your number one blog post. So that, like, how much traffic, how many conversions have you gotten off of that one free value thing you provided? But again, going back to what I said initially, the people that can provide value first tend to win deals. So, if you can take something you've done for a different client, package that up, provide value in mass, you're going to win that many more deals that way.
Yeah, that's another way I've heard it is marketing is you're creating and selling products too, but they are free. They're $0, but they're not $0 value. It's like
Right.
It's free to watch the webinar. It's free to get on the email list. It's free to read the blog, but they are seeing value. And if they start receiving value, for them to take that next step up to receive more value and start paying you, it's less of a jump versus if they've never interacted with you and you're asking for money, it's a bigger gap basically to make that jump.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I always see it as your customers are trying to get from point A to point B. They're trying to make some sort of transformation in their life, right? And if you can show that you know how to make that transformation through the content you produce, through the conversations that you're having, again, the old-fashioned way is just to have to meet with someone in person and tell them how you make that transformation for them. But digitally, if people are looking online and seeing you do this, and they're seeing you, whether through reviews or case studies or through you just simply showing different parts of your process and how that might work, they can then see how you can help them make that desired transformation from point A to point B, and they're going to reach out to you when the time comes, when that struggling moment finally hits, and they realize it's time to move forward. They're going to think of you right away.
Yeah, that's great. Well, James, I think to leave them with something they can do. If someone is a salesperson or in sales and they're hearing this or seeing this, what's something they can start doing to basically plant the seeds now to get those commissions in the future?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you can do is just kind of take that mindset shift and start thinking of yourself as an educator in your space. Start thinking about ways that you can provide value and mass to people by creating helpful content and publishing it. And start getting active on social selling. And if you're looking for specifically social selling tips, my newsletter Sell with Social, sellwithsocial.email is the address. Is a great place to check out. It's a weekly email where I give out tips on ways to implement a social selling strategy.
All right, I'm going to that website right now. It's sellwithsocial.email. .email is the top level domain.
Yes.
So
Yep.
check it out. And people can find you on LinkedIn. You're James Roloff, Roloff. And I'm Egan Heath. And so if people want sales or help with that piece, they can go to you. And if they're interested in marketing and lead generation, they can talk to me. Does that sound right, James?
That sounds absolutely right.
All right. Thanks so much for doing this episode together.
Yep. Thanks, Egan.